All right, well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to all our viewers and especially to our panelists today. I'm John Boquette, Associate Editor here at the Newtown Bee. Thanks for joining us on Facebook Live. Don't forget, if you missed any part of this or all of it for some reason, you can go to the Newtown Bee's YouTube channel. This copy of this webcast should be available for you by early tomorrow morning on Tuesday. So tonight, the Newtown Bee is facilitating the first of two free webcasts that we titled Watch and Learn Before You Vote. And this first event involves reflections on the Sandy Hook Permanent Memorial. On April 27, taxpayers here in Newtown are going to be called to the polls to the budget referendum to vote not only on the town and school district budget requests, but also on capital bonding authorizations that include $3.7 million for the Sandy Hook Permanent Memorial, along with two other authorizations. If the memorial funding authorization is approved by voters, the memorial will be completed on property near the Sandy Hook Elementary School grounds to honor the 20 children and 6 educators lost on 12/14. So our goal in this webcast is going to be in brief segments to educate residents and budget voters and anyone else interested about this project. So we're going to ask each of our guests tonight to explain their role in and their ultimate vision for the project and a couple of high points of the latest design that they're most proud of. So tonight we're joined by First Selectman Dan Rosenthal, Sandy Hook Permanent Memorial Commission Chairman Daniel Krauss, Newtown Public Building and Site Commission Chair Robert Mitchell, designers Daniel Affleck and Ben Waldo of San Francisco's SWA Group, hello West Coast, Tara Vincenta of Artemis Landscape Architects of Sandy Hook, and Jeffrey S. Anderson. He's with Downs Construction Company that's handling construction manager responsibilities on the project. So what I'd like to do first is go to First Selectman Dan Rosenthal for his welcoming remarks.
Thank you, John, and my thanks to you and the Bee for hosting this important discussion. Certainly with the backdrop of the pandemic, having meetings to sort of do outreach and engagement with the public become difficult. And I think these forums that you've been holding on a whole host of topics have been great. And I appreciate your stepping up and offering to do this one as well. And also my thanks to, everyone with us, all the professionals that have, ably assisted us, to get us to this point, who you'll all have an opportunity to hear from. And also the Permanent Memorial Commission Chair, Dan Krauss, is with us today. And of course, the chair of our Public Building and Site Commission, Bob Mitchell, who has given many insights along the way as this has gone, over the last 7+ years. And it's hard to believe this group was, the Permanent Memorial Commission was established back in September of 2013. And I know Dan will take, Krauss that is, will take folks through the history of the commission, but it's really been 7+ years, first establishing a location for the memorial, which is, as you noted, John, is at the former SAC field on 28 Riverside Road. And then, of course, as I was taking office in December of 2017, the commission was tasked with going through 190 submissions, design submissions for the memorial. And then, of course, we spent the last, that was recommended in late 2018. And then the last, 2+ years, we were basically trying to, scale the project appropriately and get everything to the point we are now. And I'm excited about, hopefully moving forward on this come the end of April, and the prospect of having a memorial for people to go and reflect at come December of 2022. That is the goal, and I'll hand it back to you, John. But I thank everyone, and I thank everyone for their patience in working with us as we got everything to this point.
So Dan Krauss, take us back to the beginning of your introduction to the panel and give us, in around 5 minutes or so, the background information that you think is most important for residents, voters, and viewers to know from your perspective about the Sandy Hook Memorial, the Permanent Memorial. Unmute.
Danny, on mute.
Can you hear me okay now?
Gotcha.
All right, sorry about that. So I just thought that first of all, thank you to John and the Newtown Bee for hosting this event, getting the word out. So I just thought I would kind of give a brief history of the commission and how did we get here. The commission was established by the Board of Selectmen back in the fall of 2013. We were originally 12 members. We've lost a couple and we've gained one. We gained Pat Lodger when she retired as first selectman. So currently our composition is we do have 3 family members, three parents of children that were lost that day. We have a number of different backgrounds as far as work establishment, a landscape designer, interior designer. We have a number of just concerned Newtown citizens. We have a parent whose child was in the school that day and survived. So we have a pretty good cross section of the town. Our first step was we wrote a mission statement. We took the charge that we were given by the Board of Selectmen and we wrote a mission statement of what we wanted to accomplish, and that's available on the town website. One of the first questions that we tackled was, should there even be a memorial? We spent a long time discussing this, even though we pretty much knew the answer was yes. We wanted to explore that option, and find out if people really wanted this. So one of the first things that we did was we did our best to reach out to the town, and we surveyed the town. We surveyed the families of those that were lost. We surveyed the first responders. We surveyed the parents of the children that were in the school that day. And we surveyed the general public. And the general consensus was yes, that there should be a memorial. So our next step, we debated, do you design a memorial and find a site for it, or do you find a site and then design a memorial? We eventually came down with finding the site and then designing a memorial to the site. So we set about a small group of the commission that searched for different locations all throughout Newtown, and we came back to the commission with some recommendations. And we struggled with that for a long time, what to do. Eventually, the Sandy Hook Athletic Club, one of the trustees of it, approached us and said that he was willing to donate the land to the town for the memorial. So we took a look at the location. We thought it was a good location to have the memorial, and so we went about the process of now how do we either select or how do we design the memorial to go on the property. And what we decided to do was we settled on what we call the design selection process. We wrote a request for submissions. It was sent out. We got some good help from the members who have ties to the trade communities. So it was sent out through various publications and various websites. And we got, as Dan was saying, well over 100 submissions. We met over a week at the high school, and we narrowed down those designs to 10. From there, we wanted to engage the community again, and we had some open forums where we showed the 10 designs, asking for feedback, and we got some feedback, and then we decided which one would be of the top 3. So we came back with these 3 designs. We invited those 3 designers to come to Newtown and to present to their designs to the commission. And we then took a couple of months off to kind of really think about which design we liked and felt was appropriate for the site and for our town. And we settled on the design by Dan and Ben out in San Francisco, who initially was just a side project that they decided to do on their own. But once they were selected, they engaged their firm out in San Francisco, SWA, to participate in the design. So once we had the design, our job really came to an end once we submitted the proposal to the Board of Selectmen. And the Sandy Hook Permanent Memorial Commission changed from selecting a design and recommending it to the Board of Selectmen to more of an advisory group that we meet 3 to 4 times a year. And we really just to ensure that the integrity of the design is maintained. For example, one of the things that we loved about the design was that it had a core memorial complex. It has the sycamore tree in the middle, with the pond and the names inscribed around the pond. So we wanted to make sure and ensure that remained intact and as it was originally intended. So after a long battle, not a long, I shouldn't say a battle, after a long process, of some back and forth, we did some redesigns. Dan Rosenthal worked with the team out in San Francisco, and we have the design that you can see today, which I think is a very beautiful design. It fits our town very well, and it does what we wanted to do at the very beginning of the project, which was to remember and honor those that were lost at Sandy Hook School that tragic day. The only other thing that I really would like to add for the public is that I've been very proud of this commission to be a part of it. We have worked very tirelessly for 7 years now, and we've always worked in consensus. We've had disagreements, we've had difference of opinions, but at the end of the day, we all stand behind the project and believe in it. So thank you. And John.
Oh, very good. Thank you, Daniel. Bob Mitchell, the chairman of the Public Building and Site Commission, has spent a lot of time in Sandy Hook. He started with the Sandy Hook Elementary School reconstruction project, and then quickly moved on to play an important role as the permanent memorial began to ramp up and take shape. Bob Mitchell, thanks for joining us in this panel. I know you had some specific remarks prepared, so why don't we start with those and then come back and talk for a little bit more.
Thanks for the opportunity. Most people don't know what Public Building and Site does. We tend to be background commission. So now we'll be able to be a little bit more forward on this. We will serve as the overall project manager. It's our responsibility to make sure the project's brought in on time and on budget. To get to that, we have to coordinate with the architect, with SWA, with Downs Construction, with the Permanent Memorial Commission, and with the town, keeping everybody informed and knowing that we're heading in the same direction. We don't let anybody get skewed one way or another to do that. So we work with the team on that to make sure we're in. One of our key protocols that we use for the original Sandy Hook School reconstruction and the police station just recently is we set up an ad hoc committee. And that ad hoc committee for this particular project is Sally Freuerberg and Art Norton, who was on the police station, who will attend meetings, make notes, check everything out, make recommendations, although we don't change things, bring them back to the commission so that we don't meet just once a month. We call special meetings whenever needed and bring in the appropriate people from the commission for those meetings. It's a very interesting way to do things. Other towns are now copying us to do it that way so that we get, that we stay fully informed and allows us, if I've got to hold a special meeting, 2 days notice, we have a special meeting because we have to discuss something. It works out very well. And we'll continue on with this, but I went back through my paperwork on the project. My first paperwork is dated the beginning of 2014. I was going to the meetings, bringing it back. So even though it wasn't officially public building site, I had been requested to attend things. So I've been an integral part of it all along, even though I've been even further in the background. So I'm very excited about how we got to where we are today and where it's going. So this ought to be just a wonderful project for the town. And we were happy that public buildings can be part of this.
You will also be able to, because you had that deep immersion early on, Bob, you were able to bring all of that kind of anecdotally back to the full commission to give them kind of a much better trajectory off the board, right?
Oh, exactly. It's one of the nice things about having been there and being so involved in the school, so that we can bring that information, those feelings. The number of people I've talked to, a number of the parents, teachers, families that are there, it stays with you, and I get to then talk about it because they're talking to me in a very informal way. I'm not person running things. I'm not part of the commission. So that will all be part of this, so we can move ahead and bring a little more color to it than it would have if we weren't part of this.
Right. Can you please explain to the folks that are watching and the residents in town the dynamics and differences between what the Public Building and Site Commission is doing versus the construction manager?
Yeah, the construction manager is deeply involved in having it built. How do we build it? Can we get any pricing down? What's the best material to use? They coordinate greatly with the architect on that. Is this granite appropriate, but we can't get it? We're working with all of them at the same time. So people in our commission will also look at, we've seen that granite. Have you thought about doing it in concrete? Does that affect the pricing? Do we need to affect the pricing or not? So we'll be in there making a lot of suggestions without changing anything on the design, actually, but also coordinating. If Downs would like to do ABC, we want to make sure that the commission and everybody else, ABC is appropriate. And if it's not, we'll talk to the people that it's not appropriate. We should be doing it another way. If it's going to affect time or cost, it's not appropriate.
Got you. Before we talk to our representative from Downs, in closing, Bob, can you reflect on a couple of the things that you're either most proud of or that you think are most unique and special about this project to you as somebody who's been, an architect and involved with so many different kinds of projects? When you look at this project in this moment, what are a couple things that warm your heart about it?
It was a very hard to work out site. That terrace site was very difficult to work out. And what they brought to it is it's a very soft site now. You don't sense the terracing going down. And when you do get to the lower area through the walkways, the pond, the sycamore, the walks that are down there, I'll just give you a very interesting sense. This is what I got from my daughter who graduated from the old school way back when. She wanted to go there and get a sense of calm and leave with a sense of joy. And I thought that was the perfectly wrapped up what this design does. You'd be there and be calm, and you leave with a sense of joy. And I've repeated that to several people whose eyes lit up and said, yeah, you're right. That's what I would like to. And SWA and Downs have done that. So I'm very happy to be part of the project because of it.
Great. Well, don't go away. We might have some other questions for you or seek some additional comment later. Let's meet Jeff Anderson. Jeffrey Anderson's with Downs Construction Company. They're handling construction manager responsibilities on the project. Jeffrey, are you with us?
I'm here. Thank you, John.
Tell us
Yes,
what-
as you said, I'm Jeff Anderson. I'm VP of Pre-Construction for Downs Construction. We're based in New Britain, Connecticut. Just a little bit of background of how we got here. You know, Downs was selected by the town of Newtown in the summer of 2020 to perform what are called the construction management services for the permanent memorial project. The first task of those services was to take a lead role to ensure that the design by SWA and Artemis was in line with the total project budget that had been previously established. Once drawings and specifications were completed to a certain level, we embarked on the estimating process, the cost modeling process, if you will. This process includes collaborative meetings with the design team, visits to the proposed site, as Bob had mentioned, is a difficult site, and understanding the conditions there, along with the subcontractor supplier input in order to provide accurate cost modeling for the town. After much back and forth in regards to means, methods, details, materials, we settled on the design that will be presented tonight by SWA as being within the budget that again had been previously established. You know, the next steps for us, assuming the approval for Downs, will be developing and overseeing the process of obtaining bids and guaranteeing the final price based on those bids to the town. This then leads us to actual construction, of which we will oversee and be responsible through project completion. I'll close with, you know, we see anticipation and commitment from the trade contractor market for this project to come to reality. It also wouldn't do justice for me to compare it to any other Downs project that we've been involved with as far as importance to the families, Newtown residents in the state of Connecticut and beyond. You know, I can say that our experience on prominent, highly visible projects throughout the state, along with the fact that we are a solely Connecticut-based contractor, lends to our ability to ensure that the finished memorial will meet the expectations and provide proper honor and memory to those lost.
So I was going to ask you about the comparison, but since there is no comparison, then I'd kind of ask you sort of the same thing I'd ask from Bob as you're reflecting on the project at this point in the timeline. What are a few of the things about it that, as a construction professional, excite you or give you a sense of satisfaction or an anticipation of satisfaction?
I can say, John, you know, at a personal level, I grew up only a few towns away from Newtown. So what occurred is something that, you know, living in Connecticut and being here at the time is still prominent in my memory. So, you know, I feel honored that our company was selected to hopefully deliver this project for the town. And it's of the utmost importance to me and the company that I work for that the end result is, again, meeting the expectation of all those involved so that we know we've done right by Newtown as it relates to completing the project.
And can you speak to the taxpayers and the voters about the cost value relationship in talking informally to Bob Mitchell and to the first selectman about it and other people who are involved? I'm getting the idea that the value for the dollar is being fulfilled and maybe then some.
Yeah, I think, you know, I did mention that there seems to be the desire and the commitment from the subcontractor community. I think we're maximizing what has been put on paper at this point that will result in, again, that a finished product that we're all proud of as Connecticut residents for those that live here and beyond, and that we've certainly, you know, fulfilled our obligation on what this will look like in the end. And it's something, again, that we'll be proud of in general as a Connecticut company and involved with the construction management at this level.
Thank you, Jeff. Excellent.
Thank you.
So our designers from the SWA group joining us from San Francisco are Daniel Affleck and Ben Waldo. Gentlemen, I'll leave it up to you to give us the presentation that you were planning and walk us through it. We have had a couple of folks checking in on Facebook, particularly one asking to see a little bit about what we're talking about. Either that person is tired of looking at our faces or some combination of wanting to actually be able to visualize what we're describing now. So take it away, Ben and Daniel.
Sure. Thank you. So I will, I think everyone did a really good job explaining how we got here, what the process was. So I'm just going to go straight into it so we can start to look at the design a little bit. Can I share screen here? It says it's disabled.
Yeah, I'm getting, mine is I'm allowing it here. One participant can share at a time. Or do you need multiple participants?
Just one is fine.
Okay.
Okay, now it's working. Okay. All right, so we've been working on this project since 2018. You know, it's been a really interesting process in terms of us trying to get to a place where we're honoring the memories of the lives lost, but also working with the town and the needs of the community to make it work for what's possible and what's doable in reality. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go a little bit over the site, a little bit over the plan we have, and then Ben's going to lead you guys on a walkthrough. So I'm sure some people know where the site is, but it's 28 Riverside Road, off Riverside Road, in a kind of a woodland area, not too far from the new site of the school. And you know, the site itself posed many opportunities, but also many constraints. I think we learned that when we first visited the site. It's a beautiful piece of, you know, Connecticut woodland, but it has no infrastructure, it has no water, it has no utilities. It's in a little bit of overgrowth and disrepair, but there's many qualities of it that are quite beautiful. And I think we were both struck when we went there by this sense of a clearing and opening where the woodland breaks out into this big open field. And that sense of kind of a view of the sky and the circular nature of the space really inspired us. And we really wanted this place to feel like we were borrowing from the site and that it's authentic to Newtown and to Connecticut. So with that, you know, the plan really was emerged from sort of three ideas that Ben and I had, very simple ideas. One is that circular, the idea of a circle, which really it's about bringing people together and creating wholeness. And in the center of that circle is a tree. We thought the tree, which we chose to be the sycamore, which is the Connecticut state tree, would be a great sort of metaphor for rebirth, for regrowth. And that tree would start as a young tree and grow to a very mature tree. Sycamores can last for 100 years. And then the third concept, which we thought was really important, was this process of movement and walking on a path. The idea that, you know, the process of walking is a kind of meditation, which allows you to reflect, allows you to sort of move at your own pace and think about memory and lives lost. So, you know, we were inspired by this quote from Rebecca Solnit, which said, "Paths are records of those who have gone before, and to follow them is to follow people who are no longer there." That was kind of the genesis of our, you know, kind of design process, this idea of walking on a path as a way to remember. And, you know, we went through many iterations of this process, but I think what we ended up with really tries to preserve the features which we were told by the committee, and which reflects the needs of the community, that the central feature of the water feature and the tree and this idea of the path are all things that are really central and really important. So we're going to try to create a place which captures all of those elements. And really what the idea here is that there's a sort of graded pathwork network that really allows you to move at your own pace down into the kind of lower field portion of the site. And Ben will walk you through this process a little bit and this movement to the space. You know, I think really in terms of the budget, you know, it's a lot of it went into sort of bringing all the kind of utilities and water to the site and accessibility, all the things that are required to make this place a real functioning reality that people can visit and pay their respects. So Ben, do you want to take it from here?
Sure. You can just go yeah, great. So, you know, just kind of giving an overview and a little caveat as we walk through these renderings. This is sort of showing the site in full bloom, and in reality, it's going to be a very kind of seasonal experience. You know, picking up on that great characteristic of New England landscapes, the sort of transformation throughout the year. This shows it maybe in kind of peak bloom, late spring, early summer. So it won't look this kind of vibrant at all times, but it will always sort of have a unique character that also kind of lends itself to the process of kind of taking time in a space and spending time with the space. You can go to the next slide, Dan. Zooming in, this is just to kind of give you an overview of sort of the main central clearing. This is kind of the memorial that Dan Krauss referred to, that sort of central piece, the sort of goal at the center, but you can see that there's these paths kind of winding around it. And let's take you kind of from the beginning of the site, the arrival process down to this, and you can get a sense of what it's like to show up and kind of take that journey through the site. So this is coming off of Riverside Road, and the trees on the left are an existing stand of maple and oak trees that kind of screen the property on that side to the north. The evergreen trees on the right are new, introduced to screen the property to the right, which is currently sort of open and visible. So we wanted to create sort of a sense of enclosure to the space, that you're kind of entering this space in a very purposeful way to sort of be here and with this moment, with this memorial, rather than kind of distracted by the outside world. You can see as you get out of your car, the path kind of takes you further into the site. Again, evergreen trees on the right, sort of screening and enclosing you into the memorial space. As you walk down this path, you'll come to an overlook, which is really intended to act as kind of a welcome moment to the site. This feature is intended to be sort of a monolithic piece of granite. We're using granite, kind of the native stone of Connecticut, to really speak to the sort of vernacular of this landscape. And this element will do a couple things. It's sort of a place where visitors can pick up some narrative about the site, how they might engage with the site as they walk through it. There will also be a quote from former President Obama, the speech that he gave to Newtown 2 days after the tragedy. And you'll see that the framing of this element is between these two large existing trees, and really kind of gives visitors an overlook of that clearing down in the lower fields. So we were very careful to site this element exactly. You kind of see right to the sycamore in the center here. So we were very careful to site this element so that it really gives people a sense of arrival and welcome. Moving further into the site, you kind of start to feel the space. You feel the understory planting, which we've been really excited to work with Tara and her team at Artemis on. And you start to kind of feel the motion of the space, this sort of whirling motion of these paths. And you have sort of a gentle slope that takes you down into the site, kind of flanking the hill that separates the lower and upper fields. So you'll see here that there's some kind of berming that we've done within the site, kind of within these meadows. And the idea here is to be very sort of economical and conscious about the user experience with soil that will necessarily be moved on the site, kind of creating rooms within this larger space, so that we take this field and almost make it feel bigger than it actually is. Also, the general kind of approach to the planting, which I think is shown pretty well in this view, was to emphasize, again, seasonality, and also to choose, largely native plants that will be attractive to pollinators, butterflies, and other kind of elements of life that will make this space really, again, I thought Bob put it pretty well, bring calm and leave visitors with a sense of joy. We really want to celebrate life in this space, and so the planting is kind of a critical component of that. Moving along sort of towards the center of the space, again, you can see how the topography kind of creates a sense of enclosure within different areas of the lower fields. And then also there's these braided pathways, which we've seen from above, but when you're down on the ground, the idea was that, memory and grief and these various processes that people take to a space like this are kind of unique to individuals. And we wanted to honor that, to let people choose their own way through the site, to take their own pace, whether they sort of take the shortest route to the center or they spend a while kind of winding around these various paths and kind of waiting to the right moment for themselves to find themselves at the center. Once we arrive at the center, there's a large water feature, which is, again, crafted out of granite. This is divided into 26 modules for the 20 children and 6 educators. The names will be arranged equally around the edge in no particular order. The idea of this water feature was that we would sort of capture the motion of the landscape around it. And we've been really blessed to work with our team at Fluidity, the water feature designer, to come up with a way to have the water actually kind of move from the outside of the feature to the inside, this sort of island that you see at the center where the sacred sycamore grows. And the idea was that a visitor could place an object, perhaps a candle, a flower, a paper boat, something of that sort, and it would sort of wind around, drift towards the center, allowing visitors to kind of send something across a space, that sort of space between us and the ones that we've lost. And, that could be just people visiting the site on their own, or we imagine that in perhaps anniversary visits to the memorial with larger groups, there could be, hundreds of candles kind of filling this water feature, sort of whirling again towards the center, embracing that tree in the center. And just another kind of sense of that. You'll also notice that there are dogwood trees sort of surrounding this space. So we have almost kind of a clearing within a clearing to really give this central space a sense that it's sort of a special and kind of protected and safe space to sort of feel what you need to feel in that memorial area. Just one last kind of overview again to give you a sense of sort of the motion of the space, the layout of those paths. and how that kind of carries you through the site in a sort of gentle and natural way, filling out that existing lower clearing and taking you to that more central clearing with the water feature.
So I think,
That's what we have for you. Sorry, Dan, were you going to say something?
no, I was going to say, I think, you know, we're at this point, we answer any questions you have, or I think the point, you know, what I love about landscape architecture and landscape itself is that it gets better over time. So we see this place evolving as plants do, as trees do. So this is just sort of a snapshot, but over time, I think it can really become this rich place which the community can come to and pay their respects.
Excellent. Thank you, gentlemen. Basically, we were just looking for the presentation. I didn't have any specific questions for you about the presentation or the design. I've kind of been following this from afar as you've been working with the panel. So if we can deactivate the presentation, we will bring on our last guest. We're happily running on time, which is awesome. And I would like to introduce someone who I got to know probably about 7 or 8 years ago, Tara Vincenta, an award-winning professional and founder of Artemis Landscape Architects. As she described it, she's the boots on the ground, so to speak, in dealing with the team out in San Francisco on this project, as well as with the folks from Downs and the Public Building and Site Commission and contractors on the project. Tara, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
There we go.
Mm-hmm. Good to see you. So I have to say, Tara, when I look at the computer renderings and the computer generated images, the thing that was coming to my mind is this is the blank canvas on which you have an opportunity to create kind of your own Sistine Chapel. There is a huge amount of various types of landscape installations, as well as variety of flora. Tell us what's most important to you that you think our voters and taxpayers need to know from your perspective as sort of the immediate tender of this this important project.
Well, first of all, just let me say, as a Newtown resident and a Sandy Hook business, I'm honored to have been asked by SWA to serve in this kind of supportive role, boots on the ground. And I've worked very closely with Dan and Ben in developing the proper kind of planting palette for this site. And so since we are so local and so close, we've been lucky to make a lot of site visits to really observe the local, just the site itself, to begin to get a really good feeling and understanding for where it is, what kind of exposure it has, what the soils are, so that we can select the right plants that will be sustainable in that environment. So we're really focused on a lot of native plantings that won't require a lot of maintenance, as well as developing a planting palette that is really soft and soothing, with really kind of choosing things that are long blooming perennials to give a really, you know, a great experience to people over a longer period of time, especially through the spring and summer months and the fall, when there's, you know, I think as Dan was saying, and Ben, we want people to enjoy this over over seasons and to see how it changes. But it's very important for me to be able to, you know, connect people with nature. It's what we do every day in designing landscapes that draw people in. And I think drawing people into this beautiful space and to this memorial fountain is what the plantings will help do, to define the spaces and also to help people to sort of slow down and to really take the time to contemplate and just enjoy nature so that they can come to this memorial with a sense and develop a sense of calm and then leave with that sense of joy. So I think that, you know, that's our goal as well, you know, to work on that. And I've been, as John said, I've, you know, been working in the Northeast for over 30 years and have developed quite a knowledge of plant material. And so I have a good sense for what will work on a site and what won't. And so together with SWA, we've developed what I think is a beautiful selection of plantings that we will develop as we move forward into the construction documentation.
So Tara, what are the stars of the show when it comes to the primary plantings that visitors will encounter? And how will the appearance and colors and you know, the thickness and integrity of those clusters of plants and plantings change as folks move through the seasons?
Well, I think Dan and Ben talked about a few of those. So, you know, guiding people into the site with some screen plantings. And so keeping people moving forward with, you know, some evergreens, some native maples also that were red maples that we're also introducing into the parking area. So we're sort of continuing the idea of the maples that are existing on the property. And then as you move down into the space, the use of the native dogwood tree, which will draw you into the center of the memorial, is one of the key plants on the project. We have also introduced a golden winterberry, which will provide a great buffer planting and give us some height in areas where we want to create those more secluded areas. And then in the fall, when they berry, they will be just a beautiful hue of golden yellow that should add a beautiful glow to the area all around the memorial. Mm-hmm. And then we're also concentrating our use of perennials sort of along the edges of the paths, and then that will blend out to more of a wildflower meadow area, so that it just has a very natural feel.
Due to the fact that the tragedy happened in December, in the near the middle of winter, if there is a desire for visitors to come closer to the time of the tragedy, will there still be some experience for them in terms of being able to enjoy some element of, maybe if not the plantings, at least the way the design is conceived?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that the plant material that we're contemplating has as much interest in the fall and winter as it does as it's coming to life in the spring, because of the variety of seed heads and textural grasses that will be woven into the design. And I think that there will always be something of interest there and beauty for people to enjoy.
I imagine there's also going to be a lot of interest in our local garden clubs, perhaps the so even Connecticut-wide parties interested in coming in and helping. Of all of the plantings and trees and shrubs that you're designing, are most of them fairly easy to maintain and provide the ability for folks, maybe even with families and little kids, to come in and and keep it looking as beautiful as it will be on day one?
Well, I would hope that with time we could, the first few seasons certainly are going to be critical to getting things to be well established. And even in establishing a meadow, that takes several seasons before it really begins to look good. And who knows, I may be the one leading the charge out there, pointing out what are invasives that we need to get rid of in that meadow to keep it moving forward. So Dan Rosenthal and I have had a couple of discussions about this, but hopefully there will be a practical way to put something like that together. But absolutely, you know, the plant selection is intended not to be intensive in terms of care or watering requirements as well. So it's a tall order, it really is. But I like to remind people these things are alive still, and they need a little love and attention, especially to get started. But we hope that everything there will find its footing and thrive, and really provide community with a beautiful and calm place to reflect.
Great. Thank you very much. We're running toward the end of our hour here, and I do want to thank all of our participants. We're getting a couple of comments, but not a lot of questions, and none came in ahead of time. So I'm hoping that all the folks who tuned in or will tune in to see this before the referendum vote are able to have any unanswered questions fulfilled by what they hear and saw from all of you. And I can't thank you all enough. Dan Rosenthal, bring you back in for any closing remarks before we wrap this thing up.
Yeah, thank you, John. And one piece of information that I'd also give that I don't know that we touched on is so certainly after the December 14th remembrance, you know, each year, the plan would be shortly thereafter to winterize the central water feature, and then essentially let the landscape be snowed over for whatever period of time it is. So we're not intending to sort of maintain it through the heavy winter months, and then of course, you know, open everything up again in the spring. So it'll be, you know, close to a year-round memorial, but not quite. So I want to make sure people are aware of that from a maintenance standpoint. But you know, certainly there have been a number of things that have given me a lot of joy in working on since I've been in office, and you know, this is definitely one of them. I mean, it's certainly a sensitive and delicate subject to all of us, and you know, it's no secret that you know, initially when we started going down the road of this, you know, the design that was selected, the price tag was much higher, and I really hated to be the person that said, hey, look, we can't pay for that. And I guess I have to do that more often than I like to, and that just, it comes with the territory. But I am grateful to all the folks involved with the project, the commission for sort of hanging with me, you know, the families for giving us time to sort of work through this and get it to the point where we had a product that I think project that respects the integrity of the original design. You know, I think it still, you know, speaks to everyone that has had a chance to look at it. And I hope that there are a number of folks that have watched this video today just to understand that it's not just simply a piece of granite sitting out in a field. I mean, this is a living memorial that I think is so thoughtfully designed. And I know everyone has to make their own decisions in terms of, you know, how they feel about the financial component. But I do think, and this is in the explanatory text, and it's part of the mission statement that Dan Krauss touched on. And I think the memorial checks the box on this. The permanent memorial is intended to remember, honor, and celebrate those 26 who died as a result of the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, and serve to provide comfort to those who loved and were touched by them. And I think that this, you know, where we're sitting here and what's on the table and proposed for everybody on April 27th does just that.
Great.
So I thank you and the B, John, for hosting this, and of course, everyone that's worked judiciously along the way to get this to where we are.
And we'll see you back here a week from tonight at 5:30 for our next in this short series of webcasts It's going to feature a slightly smaller panel having a similar conversation as voters are asked to endorse the balance on a project to upgrade and replace key components of the community's emergency communications and radio systems. We want to ask residents of Newtown to please remember to vote on April 27th. The polls will be open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. on that day, but due to executive order under COVID restrictions, you are also being allowed to pick up a no excuses absentee budget ballot if you are not planning on voting in person, and to cast that ballot, including if you wanted to leave it in a convenient drop box right outside the municipal center. I want to thank our panelists and of course First Selectman Dan Rosenthal, Permanent Memorial Commission Chairman Daniel Krauss, Newtown Public Building and Site Commission Chair Robert Mitchell, our designers Daniel Affleck and Ben Waldo of San Francisco's SWA Group, our local designer Tara Vincenta of Artemis Landscape Architects of Sandy Hook and Bridgeport, Jeffrey Anderson of Downs Construction Company, who's handling the day-to-day construction manager responsibilities. And as always, get more information on this and everything going around in town in your Newtown Bee print edition. Consider subscribing if you can. And you can always visit us at newtownbee.com and check out what's happening, including immediate updates on our social networks on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks to our panelists, and we'll see you again next week at 5:30 here for the next in our series of watch and learn before you vote next week on the emergency communication system. So thank you all. Great to work with you, and we'll be seeing you around the project site.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.